All right, so today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. How do we manage conflicts? So we're going to touch on two principles today. First is confrontational principle and the hammer. Hammer has got to talk about anger, right? So how we don't use a hammer to swat a fly because fly is so small, but we are using it. Sometimes we forget and we use a hammer. So I'm just going to begin. And what are the principles in here is that firstly, do I care enough to confront the right way? We're talking about relationships, right? And relationships, like Andrew earlier said, over his 60 years, there is always somehow, somewhere confrontation. And we need to understand how to confront the right way so that we can resolve the issue. It's not to let it fester. So conflict is like cancer. We need early detection in order to have a healthy outcome. If we let it fester, it will eventually damage our relationship with the people that we love, the people we work with, or etc., etc. Now, truth about conflict. Conflict is unavoidable. Now, can you type yes in the chat if you have had conflict before? In the work, in anywhere. If you've experienced conflict, type yes. If not experienced conflict, then praise the Lord. So conflict is unavoidable. It's something we cannot avoid. Okay, so many yeses. Yes, wonderful. Same with me. Over my X number of years, I shall not review for now. I have also gone through a lot of conflict. Okay. Now, confrontation is difficult. We sometimes find it so difficult to confront somebody. Why? Because we're full that if we confront someone, we are disliked, misunderstood, or sometimes we are rejected. Fear of the unknown. How will that person react? I'm not sure. We're not used to sharing our feelings. We're a very private person. We're very introvert. And then for us to expose our feelings is very, very difficult. We find it very hard. We also worry that sometimes in doing so, we make things worse. So we keep it. We don't talk about it. We just keep it. However, how we handle conflict determines our success in how we handle tough situations. So it is necessity. There's a necessity for us to confront certain situations. Okay. So there are harmful strategies. Some people take it a different light, and there are six ways that people create more conflict. One, go into a confrontation with the view that I must win. I must win, regardless. I must come out of that confrontation a winner. And that is not a good thing. Second, some people pretend it doesn't exist. So it's like the three monkeys, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. But it doesn't mean that evil goes away. So regardless, we still need to confront it. People whine about it. Oh, I'll be the victim, the confrontation, I'm the victim, I'm the victim, I'm the victim. After some time, people get sick of hearing you whining. Winners are not whiners, and whiners are not winners. Okay? Some people keep score. Okay, never mind. You did this to me. I will keep score. But when people keep score, what happens? They do not allow themselves to be free of that burden, and they cannot move forward. They are locked into this keep score mentality. Some people pull rank. Your boss, listen to me. This is the way it should be done. However, that doesn't solve the conflict. It actually aggravates it. And lastly, it's about, lastly, it's about waving the white flag. I give up. I don't want to talk about it. I just, okay, let you win. But that is not solving the problem. It's sweeping the problem under the carpet. Okay. So that's not a good way of managing conflicts. So there's a 6-step plan to help us handle conflicts in a proper way. How do we handle them? We confront the person, provided you care for that person. Usually, if you don't care about the person, you don't even bother to want to confront. And it's the people that you care that you want to confront. Secondly, we meet as soon as possible. Seek understanding, not necessarily agreement. I'll expand on this, all right? Outline what's the issue, encourage a response, and lastly, agree to an action plan. So let me go one at a time. Confront if you care. When we go in for a confrontation, it's not to go in to win. We keep the other person's interest in mind, and the goal is for both parties to win. It's a win-win, not a win-lose. We have a win-lose, the other party comes out feeling miserable. Or if you're the losing party, you will feel miserable. We must have this beneficial perspective of we attempt to ensure the other party wins first. So when we go in with that mindset, let the person win, we go in with this mindset of finding common ground, finding a solution, not coming out that I am the winner or he or she is the winner. That's not the right way. So remember, we only confront when we care to want to keep the relationship or to salvage a relationship. Next, meet as soon as possible. Now, whenever conflict arises, we are usually tempted to avoid it, procrastinate dealing with it, or let someone else handle it. But that doesn't solve the problem. We are also sometimes holding it back because we're not comfortable. We know we need to do it, but we're not comfortable, so we hold back. We think that it'll pass, but it doesn't go away. We need to confront the problem. Like how we say, take the bull by the horns. We need to do it. And sometimes we save all this stuff in us, this negativity, and then one fine day we explode and we give a history lesson. Why do you do this? This. I'm sure you have encountered people who do that. And it's not healthy as well. We need to do it the minute it happens. And so meet as soon as possible. What are the ways? Meet together right away, face to face if possible. Right now, COVID, we still can do it if it's only one-on-one or virtually, just like now, right? We have another option. In old days, we didn't have this option of doing it virtually. We were not comfortable doing things virtually. But nowadays, it is still possible to do things virtually. Or if worse to worse, phone call. We make a phone call, talk over the phone, over WhatsApp, or whatsoever. We need to meet and talk about it. But never do it by email. Never do it by email. Why? What's the reason? Can anyone tap me and tell me what's the reason? Why can't we do it by email? Why shouldn't we do it by email? What's the downside of doing it by email? Just type in your answer. Is it because we don't see the person, or what? Why do you think we shouldn't do it by email? What's the reason? Good, thank you. All right, so I'm going to move on. Email is because sometimes what we write, the person who reads it may misconstrue what we write. And unless you're such a fantastic writer, you write exactly what you think, but most of the time we don't. So we may use words, and even sometimes we use capital. Then people think, oh, you're scolding me. So everything gets misconstrued, ends up becoming a worse situation. Okay, face-to-face conversation or virtually. The significance in hindrance of positive conflict, because too many preconceived ideas. Before we go in for a conflict, we tend to think, wow, why did that person say this about me? What was the reason? So we're trying to think what's going on. We shouldn't do that. Once we have that preconceived notion, we actually create negativity before even starting a conflict resolution. So it is stated the person who gives an opinion before he understands is human. Yeah, so what do you think? Okay, this is my opinion. But a person who gives a judgment before he understands is a fool. So we really make a judgment call. You are wrong. You said this, you shouldn't have said this. So we shouldn't go in with a judgment. We can go in with an opinion, but don't do it in a judgment, right? And St. Francis of Assisi says this: grant that I may not so much seek, because this is talking about going with an understanding. Doesn't mean that when you go in for a conflict, you have to come up with an agreement. No, go in to understand what is happening. So St. Francis says, going to understand, not necessarily to be understood. Understand the other party. Why did you say this? What's the reason for your your opinion, etc. How many of you have seen a beach ball? The beach ball. Have you seen a beach ball? Those that you blow up and it's like about that big, can be as big as you want. In a swimming pool, they used to play with the kids. And the beach ball has many colors. Huh? If I were to hold the beach ball facing me and facing you, and I ask you, what color do you see? You may tell me red, blue, and green. But if I were to tell you what color I see, it may be orange, white, and something else, red, for example. Now, you are looking at from your perspective, the colors you see. I'm looking from my perspective, the colors I see. Are we both wrong or are we both right? But if I were to tilt the beach ball on the top, you will see all the colors. You will see my color that I see, I will see the color that you see. So at the end of the day, what's happening? We are talking about the same thing, but from a different perspective. So just bear that in mind, the beach ball analogy. People see things from a different perspective, but they may be seeing the same thing, but just that from a different angle. All right? So going with the understanding, right, to try and understand the other party. Why did you say what you said? Help me understand. Then you do a judgment call later. Outline the issue. What is the issue are we talking about? Describe your perception. Okay, I'm seeing it from this side. My angle of the beach ball is red, green, and yellow. That's how I see it, right? Tell how this makes you feel. What you just said earlier on or what happened earlier on, I felt very sad. I felt very sad. Why? Because of this. Okay? And explain why is this important to you? Why whatever happened is important to you? Because I have this very strong value system that what was said, it goes against my value system. And when you start to explain to somebody why you feel the way you feel and why is it important to you, sometimes the other party will simmer down because then the other party understands where you're coming from, that you're coming from the other side of the beach ball. And it's not that you are disagreeing with him or her, it's just that you're seeing it from a different perspective. And when they understand your importance of the values or the way you see things, they may understand it better and say, okay, we can compromise. Okay, so we outline the issue first. Next, we encourage a response. This is very important. Huh? Never confront others without letting them a chance to speak out. When you go into a quarrel, sometimes when a quarrel, both parties just, don't talk about it. But that's the wrong thing to do. We need to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, what happens is festering in us. It just creates this boiling point to a stage where you just explode. When you allow someone to talk about it, you're actually allowing that person to have an outlet. So this politician says, one of the best ways to persuade others is with your ears, listening to them. So God granted us with a mouth, one, but 2 ears. And if we just listen to people, why did you say that? Why do you feel that way? Why is this your opinion? And if we just listen to them, we may learn something new. When we speak, the Dalai Lama says, when we speak, we're only saying things that we know. But when we listen, we may learn something new. Okay? Agree to an action plan. In other words, after we've spoken about it, we want to find a resolution. So, clearly identify what are the issues, agree to resolve or solve the problem together, have concrete steps to a resolution. In other words, sit down and work something out. How can we reach a resolution? Accountability. So we set timeline, we set who is responsible for doing what in order to reach resolution. Have a deadline for completion. And lastly, put the issue in the past once it's resolved. Don't bring it up again. There are many times people have this elephant memory. Unfortunately, elephant memory. They remember like, wow, since childhood. Then they'll go and dig it up again. When you do that, you only create more problems. Because some people say, over already, why talk about it? I still want to... When someone does that, means actually it wasn't resolved. It was just kept or swept under the carpet. It wasn't really resolved. So have an action plan. Once it's solved, take a decision. That's it. End of story. Let's move on. Next, successful confrontation usually changes both people, not just one. I understand you better. You understand me better. And if we are both going towards a resolution, we actually form a stronger relationship. Because now I know how you feel. I know your value system. I know why you felt hurt of what I said or what I did. Previously, I didn't understand because I didn't know what I didn't know. You know, like I used to help people understand the Johari window, right? The Johari window has 4 panes. One is I know what I know, you know what I know. The second pane is I know what I know, you don't know what I know. The third pane is you know what you know, I don't know what you know. But the last pane is I don't know what you know, you don't know what I know. So we're walking in the dark. But once we start to come to an agreement, we meet each other, we talk about it, we let the other person respond, we listen, and then we say, oh, I see, that's how you look at things. You're looking at the same beach ball, but from a different angle. Then we form better relationships. It all starts with genuine concern for the other person. Like I said, management of conflict is about caring. I care about you to want to sit down with you to talk about it. It doesn't have to come with anger, but come with genuine concern. I want to solve this problem. I don't think it is helping our relationship. I want to solve the relationship. I want to improve the relationship. How can we work together? So you come with that genuine concern for the person. So Abraham Lincoln said, if you would win the man in your cause, first convince him that you are his sincere friend. Come from the perspective of friendship, not anger. When you're angry and you try to confront somebody, you cannot manage the confrontation. You will just go out of hand. So cool down, come from the perspective of, I am your friend. Let's talk about it. Let's resolve it together. Okay. Next, we talk about the hammer principle. So you notice this big sledgehammer I had with small little fly. And it says, never use a hammer to swat a fly off someone's head. What it basically means is, don't let anger overtake you. When someone is angry, they will do anything. And if we are not in control, we will say things that we will regret. So hold your tongue. Okay, the tongue is the deadliest weapon that anyone has ever had. If you read the scripture. So would others say I overreact to a small thing in a relationship? Some people just overreact to a small thing, you know. I can remember people who are OCD. Unfortunately, super OCD. You place things in a different way. They get all flustered up now. Or people who are very conscientious. They must do things step from 1 to 10, cannot skip. And that causes conflict. And I give you an example. I do parenting talks and I help parents have stronger relationship with their daughter or their children. So I had this mother and daughter, everyday fight. So I was wondering why. So the mother is a very conscientious person. So she writes out a timetable for the daughter. Morning, when you come back from school, you must do this. You must follow the steps. But then the daughter is not of that kind. The daughter is a free-flowing spirit. And she don't follow rules. So what happened was the mother cannot take it. When you come back home from school, you must take a shower, have your meal, do your homework. But the daughter doesn't follow. And every day they quarrel because the mother didn't know who the daughter really is. Eventually, when she found out after doing the profiling for the daughter, she realized that, oh, I need to close one eye to keep the harmony. It is more the relationship than insisting you follow my way. That's more important, isn't it? Keeping the relationship and the harmony in the family versus quarreling every day. So, if you would win the world, melt it Do not hammer it. Alexander McLaren says that. If you would win the world, melt it, melt the heart. Don't need to hammer it. Don't need to use anger and frustration to get people to do things. So there are 4 T strategies for you to calm down and control. First one is look at the total picture. If someone angry comes to you and approaches you, first thing you need to do, listen. Don't react, just listen. Ask questions if you can or need to for clarification. Because this person is coming really hot. And if you were to use a very confrontational way, what happens? Stone and stone, nothing is resolved. So listen, ask questions, listen again for the answers, ask more questions if need to, listen some more before you respond. Why? You are buying time. As the person speaks, he first storms into your office or storms into this confrontation. It's very, very hot. But as you allow him to speak, as you allow him to vent, he cools down. It's just like customer service. If you buy a product and the product is not working well, you call up this company or you call up a restaurant customer service, you complain. What does that person over the other end do? They just listen. They don't argue with you. They just listen. They let you vent. After you've vented, they said, okay, sir, we'll do our best to resolve it. And you cool down because you were able to vent. That's what customer service is all about. They're not there to solve your problem. They're just there to let you vent. And then they listen, and then after they give you a good response. That's what it's all about. So, right? Total picture allows you time to think as well of what response to say, but also allow the other party to cool down. The second T, timing. When you wrong somebody, apologize. Because if you don't do so, eventually the relationship will be lost. You need to be humble. We are a Christian group. What did Jesus teach us? Humility. It doesn't have to be a person of ego all the time. If you have wronged someone, say you're sorry. Even sometimes when you're not the person in the wrong, to save the relationship or to keep the peace, sometimes you may want to say, hey, sorry, just now I overreacted. Especially in a marriage. I'm talking from experience. Because many a times I've had the same encounter. My wife gets, unhappy with certain things that we say or do, and etc. And then she just goes into this angry mode, right? So the Bible says, don't go to bed carrying your anger. So what do? I was not really in the wrong, but okay lah, never mind lah. Just apologize. What's the purpose? To keep the relationship. If I play hardball and she also angry, what happens? It won't be resolved. Both go to bed angry, and that anger will fester. The next morning when you wake up, you're still angry. And you won't talk to each other. So it becomes a cold war. Who benefits? Nobody benefits. Both lose. It's a lose-lose situation. Just need to be humble and apologize. Now, you may be ready to confront, because although you apologize, you may be ready to confront and sit down and talk about it. Now, the word confront, I want you to have this in mind. The word confront is not negative. Many a times people think the word confrontation means, oh, angry. No. Confrontation means I want to spend time talking to you about it because I care about this relationship. However, we must also think about, is the other person ready to listen? So it doesn't mean that you're all ready to go and you want to jump into it, like confrontation, that person is ready. So you got to watch as well. If that person is still steaming on the anger, okay, let that person cool down. Don't just go, because what happens when you go in and the person's mind is not ready, you get snapped at. And when you get snapped at, you react. So hold back. Just be prudent. Pray for the Lord to give you the grace of prudence so that you know when's the right time to go in. Oftentimes is let it cool down, let it simmer, then sit down. And like I talked about the earlier part of confrontation, come in with the point of letting the other person win, not for us to win. Huh? Next, tonality. Very important tonality. Book of Proverbs says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So we're talking about stone versus stone. But we're now looking at stone versus water. When the stone hits the water, it is absorbed. When the stone hits a stone, it bounces off and creates spark. That's how fire is made in the caveman days, right? Stone hitting a stone. But we need to use water against stone. So when someone comes to you really angry and jumping up and down, it's okay. Just listen. Like I said, listen, ask question, listen, ask question, listen. So allow that person to cool down. Now, the book of Proverbs is written by King Solomon, the wisest man on earth at his time. So when someone says to you, in anger, something in anger, respond with gentleness and kindness. Just like this picture, the guy may be angry, but the lady just sits down, just listen, Be a water, just absorb. It's fine, don't react, just absorb. So tonality is important. Next is the temperature. If the reaction is worse than the action, the problem usually increases. If you react, when someone comes to you with an action and you react that is even greater than the action, problem increases. True? However, if the reaction is less than the action, the problem decreases. Stone and water. A heated stone coming into water, it fizzles out. Just the lava coming out from a volcano, when it hits the sea, it hardens. But it's no longer, it just goes into steam. That's it. Evaporates. So, Abraham Maslow said, if the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. So you whack. Every time you see something, you whack. But where does that lead you to? Does it lead you to a good relationship? Or does that lead you to more confrontation, disunity, unhappiness, etc., etc.? So trade in your hammer for a velvet glove, okay? Change. Instead of using a helmet, wear a nice soft glove. Wear a nice soft glove. These are the things we need to do. Let the past stay in the past. Once the problem has been solved, keep it away. I've come across people who just want to dig from the past. And, I just cannot understand why they want to stay in the past. Actions are remembered long afterwards are forgotten. Remember that. People remember. People remember. And even when you're heated, when you say things, you will always say things that you didn't meant to say. And the issue is when you say it out, that's it. It's been said. You cannot get it back. Remember the story about this lady who kept telling lies and lies, and one day the judge asked her, okay, I want you to take this bunch of paper, tear it up, and then throw it into the wind. Now, going to collect the paper. I can't collect. Sure, yeah, exactly. It's like words. When you say it out, that's it. You've hurt that person. You cannot say, hey, sorry. Can I delete? Cannot. It's not like WhatsApp, no? WhatsApp, sometimes you still can delete, right? You still within a couple of minutes, okay, never see yet. No two blue tick, quickly delete. This one cannot. Once you say it's gone, action done, just too bad. Never let the situation mean more than the relationship. Which is more important to you? Your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your children, your relationship with your boss, your relationship with your staff, your team members, which is more important? That's why they say in the beginning, you confront because you care. You care for the relationship. That's why you want to confront it, to resolve it, not to fight against it. So remember, relationship is more important. Treat your loved ones with unconditional love. Jesus came. Jesus was the one that was the most the person that was not meant to be hung on the cross. He took upon our sins on himself. So they call it the divine exchange. Perfect became sin, and all because of us. But he did it willingly. His unconditional love. He treated us with love. And that's why John 3:16 is such a powerful verse in the Bible. Admit wrongs and ask for forgiveness. Humble, be humble. Put aside your ego. Put aside your importance in times of confrontation, in times of conflict. Be the forgiver. Ask for forgiveness when you have wronged somebody. And even Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not what they have done. And it's true. The Pharisees and all that, they didn't know who really Jesus is. They were waiting for the Messiah, but they couldn't see through their blinkeredness that he is already in front of them. That he came for us. And the Lord sent the perfect lamb. You know, many, many years, the high priest would be sacrificing lamb after lamb after lamb, you know, the perfect lamb and unblemished lamb, sprinkling the blood. But God was only a piece at that time. They needed the perfect lamb to come to eradicate sin and death. And can you imagine God himself sending his only son, who is also God, to come to this earth to eradicate sin and death for us? Such wonderful love. So this is what I have for you today. I hope it resonates with you in some areas of your life where you may have forgotten that confrontation is not about winning. It's not about being the one that comes up from the confrontation with a big smile on your face when the other person's a loser. It's not about that. It's about love. At the end of the day, it's about love. How much do you love that person? How much do you value your relationship with that person? How much do you want to resolve an issue that both of you had? And how do you see the beach ball from which perspective? Okay, questions. I'm done. So I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Andrew, for the many skills and sharing. One of the things that I was watching the last video when I was not around, I realized that a lot of people ask questions. So I should ask less questions and a lot of people to ask more questions. So I want to encourage you all to ask the question. I think that would be wonderful to, Andrew is here, is a really uh, brother that's in the Lord and also an expert in relationship skills. So we can ask him, from the Christian perspective, how to deal with some of this situation.
You can type it in the chat too if you would like to, or you can unmute yourself and just ask the question. Wow, today's so quiet.
Andrew, hi.
Wow, Ben, thank you, Ben.
Hi,
Oh,
hi, Andrew.
Hey, Ivan.
Okay, I hear what you say about not bringing up old matters, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, how old is old, okay? That's one thing. But the thing is, sometimes the person that you are trying to explain will ask you back things like, give me an example. When did I say this? No, where or did it, that? So then when we do that, I mean, okay, we then we are just okay. We lovingly we're doing that. Then if he can realize, fine. If he can't realize, another issue comes up. That kind of stuff. So it goes on like that. So I mean, so that is like how far. And sometimes they ask you. So there is a thing like, how angry are you? So you say, I'm angry as hot curry powder, that kind of thing, So he can understand that, okay, he has taken hot curry powder, then he knows what it is, or chili padi or something like that. But, then again, that's my query. I mean, can we bring that up, if, yeah.
Like I said, at the end of the day, it's treating the confrontation with love. What is love? Is love to win, or it's love to keep the peace? So again, ask yourself that question. If the person goes deep, wants to bring it up, it's fine. You don't have to react. Sometimes people bring things up in the past is because they have not been heard. They have not had the opportunity to be heard. Sometimes if you remember the old folks, the old folks will tell you something over and over and over and over. My mother does that. Whenever I see her, she'll tell me the story like 20 times a year. But anyway, so what do? Do I react? Or do I just act blur and say, oh, first time I heard this, so nice. So I'm so excited you're telling me story. I can get angry and say, Mom, you told me really 20 times no. But I just let it be. Let it be. Huh? So again, it's a question, how much do you value the relationship? Some people, when you tell them something, they take it as you are criticizing them. So when you encounter these people who always take something like you're criticizing, instead of telling, use asking. You use an asking method versus telling, because to them, telling them something means you are confronting me. But if you ask them something, I give a classic example. Like, why didn't you wash the cup? Versus, this cup's in the sink, should it be washed? Okay, right? A simple analogy. Why didn't you wash the cup? So if you tell your spouse or your son that, or your daughter that, why didn't you wash the cup? How is it coming across? You're telling me, right? You're accusing me that I didn't wash. You know what I mean? But you come across, should the cup be washed? How is that perceived?
That can sound sarcastic also, you're trying there to tell truth. But so sometimes it's, as Christians, it's damn you do, damn you don't do.
Yeah. So you need to weigh the consequences. You know that you're the person that you have a relationship with. How is that person like? So you try and avoid stepping on their toes. They have reaction one. Everybody has certain reaction, right? So if you love that person, you come across lovingly. You try not to create tension. You try not to create friction. Like I said, even if you're not in the wrong, to keep the peace.
Very tiring.
No, hello, you think Jesus not tired? Jesus super tired, okay? Silly Pharisees. I keep telling them I'm the Son of God. You still don't want to listen. And then at the end, he crucified me. Well, so how? But if we love, there's no timeline. There's no timeline. How much do you love your children?
Thank you.
No timeline.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I had a number of questions coming in already, but I was told Tavi raised the hand. Maybe we can give it to Tavi.
Sure. Who is?
You are mute, Tavi.
Okay, sorry. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, it's a difficult, it's like, especially at work with colleagues or boss, when you have conflict.
Yeah.
And you have like a conflict and you feel injustice, but at the same time you want to make peace, but then because of the injustice and how there's a lack of, as you said, if you don't care or you don't respect the person because for who he is or whatever he is, I know it's a judgment. It's how do you heal this relationship if you already don't respect the person? It's difficult, but you want to make peace. You want to have the peace. It's like love your enemy, right? Or love.
Yeah. Love your enemy, yes. It's not easy. It's not easy to love your enemy. Right? Jesus said it's easy to love your friend. It's not easy to love your enemy. But Jesus still loved his enemy to the end. He didn't abandon his enemy.
But do you just keep quiet or do you try to fight?
No, you don't fight.
I
But
mean, yeah.
you find a conducive time to sit the person down or approach the person, and you pour your feelings to the person. Like, like one of the slides I said, share with the person, outline the problem. How do you feel? Share your feelings. Don't share your thoughts. Share your feelings. And the person will feel with you. Boss, can I share something with you? The other day you said something to me, and it really hurt me. I want to share with you my feeling. Why it hurt me? Because da, 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 da. And usually when you come from that perspective, you're not accusing your boss of saying the words or things that he did. You're just telling him that this is how I felt. And usually the person who said those things to you will come to a realization, because they may not know that they said the things to hurt you. So you cannot take an assumption that intentionally said these things to me. No. You must give that person an opportunity to respond as well. You have hurt me, and I felt this way, and I just want to understand why you said those things. And then like, respond. Then you listen. Does it make sense to you? And then if it doesn't, you just probe a little bit more and share a little bit more. And that's how relationships are mended. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I
thank
hope
you.
I answered your question.
Yeah, although there's a lack of caring at some point, because it's if you don't have respect for the other person, there's something
That's
harsh,
different.
right?
That's a different thing. It's like like I said, to confront is to care. You don't respect the person because the person is not trustworthy or whatever reason then there's no point to confront.
Yeah.
You confront because you care and you want to build that relationship again. You want to build a bridge. That's the purpose for confronting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. There are several questions here. I will read out one from the chat from Terence. He said, regarding talking face to face,
Yes.
I wonder if sometimes writing to the person composed with thought on how to use words appropriately may be better than to initially facing the person when you are still upset and may say things that is not in the right way. So how do you think, instead of talking to a person, you write an email, which you said should the best way is not to write an email? Maybe you can share that, your thoughts.
It's from Clara. She's using my name.
Oh, so she used your name to ask question. Clever.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, emails is because, they always say if you're angry, don't send an email. You can draft it and keep it in the outbox. I mean, in the box, but don't send it. Let your anger simmer. Because when you're angry, you write a lot of things. It's same as saying it out. And when you are angry, you write an email and you hit the send button. Again, gone. I cannot come back. And so when you're angry, hold back. Hold back. Don't immediately send or react. Just hold back. Give yourself time to simmer down, think it through. Is it worth sending this? Am I prepared to break this relationship? Is this relationship very important to me, or it's something that's casual? If it is important to you, you will hold back. And writing a letter, something to that effect, is the same as pouring your heart out, but it's in a written form. But don't write things in the letter about accusation. Write things in the letter about how you feel. Share your feelings even in a written letter. Because some people, when they read the written word and they have enough time to cool down and read it, they sometimes react differently. It is sometimes a healing process as well. So, like I said, don't react when you're angry. Cool down before you decide what you want to do next. Whether you meet the person personally, write a letter, or etc., or a phone call. Okay. I hope I answered your wife's answer.
Terence, does Andrew Clara, does Andrew answer the question?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends on your skill of writing. Sometimes when some people that are not very skillful at writing, maybe they can't express themselves as good as talking face to face. But I guess the key thing is not to send out thing or speak thing when you are when you are angry. So that's probably the key. And Andrew, I'd like to bring up a point on timing. You know, a lot of times the Bible said, "Do not let the sun go down," and when you are angry. So you
Yeah.
seems to want to resolve things as soon as you can.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're still very angry, or the other party is very angry, is it wise to wait a few days before you talk to one another, or just to say, "Hey, the sun's going down, I better talk to them"? What's your thought?
Show your spouse the Bible verse first. Hello, God said. No, I was kidding. It depends again. Yes, the Bible says try not to, simmer. The reason why the Bible wrote it that way is because oftentimes when we keep it, we fester and we start thinking negative thoughts, and it slowly builds up more negative thoughts. So the Bible wrote it that way, from my interpretation, is to quickly resolve it, so that you don't go past sunset with that mentality of, wow, why she said this, why she said that. You start to think about all the why did she say, what if, all those kind of things. I think that's why it was written at that time. But if you're really still angry, your other party is still angry, and you know that if you open your mouth, it will start again, then prudence. You got to exercise prudence also. Then hold back. Everything has got to do with making sure that you don't go in and create a more explosive environment. Right? Even you hold back, the sun go down and next day come out, it's not that you are sinful. There's no, you don't even have compassion. Hey, hello, Father, I let 2 suns down. I mean, it's okay. It's all right. It's not mortal sin. It's just being prudent. Okay? Don't take everything literal. Because the Bible says, your hand sin, cut. Once you go heaven, how? One hand sin. Cut away better. Then go heaven, you are pure. Cannot. Cannot take things literal. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Thank you so much, Andrew. There are several questions that actually was quite similar to what you have answered. So I will just leave it, not raise it up. But anyone else want to ask Andrew a question? This is a good opportunity, to ask Andrew about the handling conflict.
Someone wrote about, is writing a letter and sending an email the same? Similar, but not the same. The reason why we don't want to send an email is because you don't know how that other person reads your email. And in email, you probably not write a 20-page email, but letter you can write a little bit more, you can express. But the reason why they want it face-to-face or at least verbal is because you allow the other person to respond on the spot. And you can ask questions to clarify. On an email, the person may not read the email, right? So if the person don't read your email immediate, what do you think? Oh, the person don't want to reply me. What's happening? Now, if you are that type of person, you'll be wondering, what, 2 days, how come they don't reply? Is he angry with me? No? Then here you're having negative thoughts. No? But in actual fact, the person haven't even seen your email. So what have you really created? You've created a situation that is really unnecessary. And that's why they prefer you to have face-to-face or at least a telephone conversation, so that on the phone, whatever is said, and you can ask, they can respond, and you can question and clarify. Emails, you can't. And things get misconstrued, becomes worse than doing good. Okay? So be careful, just be careful about how you approach. Sometimes letter, like I said, some people prefer a letter, but pour out your heart in the letter. Any more questions?
Lyra, I saw a face on your your picture. Are you asking questions? Do you want to ask questions? You are mute. Okay.
Me, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to add about the email and the text message, how to approach a person. So for me, I learned that the face-to-face that Andrew mentioned is effective because you can see the expression of the person when you approach them, and you see how they react to the situation, and through that you can gauge also their reaction, and you can allow them to say something on their side also, not just bombarded them because you're angry, and you don't give time for them to also speak up or how they react to what you're talking about. So I could say face-to-face is very effective because you allow the person, you can see the reaction of the person.
They can also see your reaction, how sincere you are coming across. Because whatever we say, only 7% is heard. The rest is through your tonality and how you portray in any conversation. So it doesn't mean that you speak, the person listens 100%, only 7%. 50% is through your body language, your expression, and the balance 30 is through your tonality. Are you coming across, aggressive, or are you coming across soft? So it depends. Yes.
We will have the last question. Our breakout room today will be smaller and lesser time. But I saw Chinky putting out a hand. Chinky, you want to ask the question? Maybe Chinky's question can be the last one before I move.
Yeah, I have a question, Andrew. Thanks,
Yeah.
Andrew. I have a question, Andrew. I think all your inputs about conflict is really helpful, especially on the email, because you get so emotional, right? But on the perspective of business, sometimes you have that aspect of you need to have recording of the situation, right? Of the conflict. So like a performance review, you can go back to it and have an email to discuss it again. So what's your thoughts on that one?
Now, is this with a staff, a superior and a staff?
Yeah.
Is the
Yes.
superior put the staff on a you custom like a PSP or something like a improvement program?
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, you can refer back to those to as the previous conversation and see how to move forward, but don't dwell on it now. But if the person you've already put them on a improvement program and nothing happens, then it's more an attitude issue sometimes. And maybe it's good to either allow them to go to another portfolio where they are more in their strength zone, or find out the reason why they're not responding to the way you want them to respond. Yeah. So that's a different approach again. So it's case by case. You
So
can
that
refer back to the whole.
So you don't use the email in that situation, right?
Well, if you can meet the person face to face, it's the best, or at least a conference call or a virtual. Nowadays, virtual, you can meet anybody anywhere in the world. So there's no excuse not being able to meet the person face to face now. Nobody picks up the phone to talk to anyone nowadays. Very rare, very rare. So still have the opportunity to converse. It's the best.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Andrew.
Well, welcome.